And we are live. Hey, everybody, welcome to SVT time. It is Tuesday. It is Tuesday, right? Yes. Tuesday, February
6th.
6th. Thank you. My name's Dino. Dom is with me. Our very special guest today is Graham DeLoach from the band 1,000 Horses.
Glad to be here.
I will give the background on the Red Solo Cup here in a minute, but man, again, it's another Tuesday. It's another SVT time. We absolutely love doing this, and we will continue to do them until they tell us to stop doing them.
That's right.
But anyways, yeah, man, welcome everyone. Graham, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, man. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Right.
As you can see, so I'm in Southern New Hampshire. Graham, you're in Nashville.
Yep.
Dom is in LA. I'm freezing my butt off again.
I was gonna say, you got the cold. We might have worse weather with this rain right now. Just torrential downpours.
My kids got me this heated seat pad for Christmas. So I can heat my seat because I have to have my space heater off during these broadcasts because it's just so loud. So in sympathy, they bought me this heated seat heater. So
Nice.
yeah. And then also, just in honor of Toby Keith's passing, I've got my Red Solo Cup.
It's gorgeous. Nice.
Yeah, it's not a real Solo Cup, but it is a red cup anyways. So we'll talk about
great
that
tribute. Yes.
Yeah. So man, Graham, thank you for coming on and doing this, dude. I know we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about and catch up on, but
yeah, man, I'm so stoked to be here. I appreciate you guys having me on. I love this kind of stuff. I love Ampeg, so I'm stoked.
Absolutely, and we know that absolutely, and we're going to talk about that. Kind of your transition from big rig to what you're using and what you're going out with on this next tour as well. But first and foremost, man, everybody good? Everybody's healthy and happy? Had a great holiday?
Great holiday, kicked back, and probably had too much fun and just chilled. And we're kind of gearing up to get ready to go back out in the spring.
Awesome.
So, yeah. How about you guys? Good holiday?
Yeah.
Holiday, yeah. I just saw Dino recently in person, which is always good. We had the good old NAMM.
Yeah,
NAMM
man.
Show, chaos.
Yeah, we just got back from NAMM. NAMM was week before last, and a lot of cool stuff. People got a chance to see the new Venture stuff in person.
Yeah,
cool.
Some people that came into the booth walked right by it, didn't even know it was there, and then commented how we didn't bring it. Was just, that's a whole nother story.
That's sleep.
Yeah. So streamlined, you won't even see it.
Yeah, exactly. We are so discreet. But yeah, man, it was, it was just a good show. NAMM seems like it's coming back a little bit. A lot of good.
Yeah.
The big thing is just the hang, being able to see your industry peeps and hang out and catch up on stuff and do business, of course, too. So
totally.
Yeah. So Graham, I got to ask you now. I think it was October you were in Boston and we saw you at the House of Blues. Yeah, we did that. We did the rig rundown, which I don't know if I'm that tech savvy without Aaron here to figure out how to rebroadcast it on this broadcast. But anyways, we'll put the link and everything in there.
Yeah. It's on Graham's Instagram. It's very cool.
Yeah. But going back, so I got to ask you, what was your early musical influences in your early life like? Do you come from a family of musicians or players, or tell us a little bit?
Man, yeah, a little bit. My mom is a piano player, so there was always music being played in the house. And then probably when I was in like the 5th or 6th grade, one of my older brothers started taking guitar lessons.
Okay.
And you look up to your older siblings, and I was like, man, that's cool. He's like playing a Green Day song. That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, right.
Like, I need to figure something like that out. And he kind of lost interest. And my mom was like, dude, I already paid for these lessons. Which other kid is going to be taking these?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm in.
Nice.
So I started out on guitar, and I really loved it, and kind of just learned, some of your basic music theory, kind of your way around a fretboard and all that stuff.
Yep.
Started a band because that seems like the natural order of things.
Yeah.
And the other kid was a better guitar player than me, and I was like, well, I mean, bass is awesome. Let's go for it. And I love punk rock music at the time, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let's go for it. And that's where I started playing bass.
So you jumped in right as a bass player.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And I ask that question all the time because I mean, I same thing. I started off as a bass player. I never took guitar lessons. In fact, I'm a terrible guitar player. Marginally better on bass, but that's another story. But yeah, no, that, you know, you never, like a lot of times too, it's like, you know, bass players become bass players because nobody else wants to play bass in the band.
Right.
Thing.
So, yeah, no, I went straight for bass too. I love the sound. I love that you felt it more than heard it.
Even.
Yeah, man. You got like a different kind of rhythm in your soul that kind of draws you to that because you're not a guitar player. You know, like
yeah, no, and yeah, it's man. I mean, anybody that's watching this right now, that, you know, bass players, of course, they understand that, you know, there is something that draws us to playing bass other than guitar.
I also wonder, is it because we want control so much too? Because like you control the chord, you control the pulse. Like,
I'm not a control freak. Shut up.
I'm just projecting what I am. That's all.
Yeah. I'm like, I am steering where this goes.
Yeah. Follow me.
Yeah.
So this was all happening in Georgia, in Savannah, right?
In Savannah, Georgia. Yeah.
Right on. So how did you go from that to basically starting because you are one of the founding members of 1,000 Horses.
Yes.
How did you go from that to transitioning to being this national?
Well, so my cousin is a guitar player. His name's Bill Satcher, and we are very close in age. We always say that we're more like brothers than cousins.
Yep.
And so we grew up, I would go spend a summer in his hometown of Newberry, South Carolina.
Okay.
Like a month out of the summer, go up there and hang out, and we would always play music together. And also met our singer, Michael Hobby. So we kind of knew, you know, as like young teenagers. I think I met Michael when I was like 13.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we were all kind of playing, and, you know, we were like, this is a thing, right? Like, we're going to do this. And I had a band back home in Savannah. But, you know, everybody like graduates and goes off to college and stuff. And I was like, dude, I'm going to Nashville. Like, we're going to really do this thing. So we kind of just knew, we were just young and dumb enough to like think that we could try that. And that was like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, we always just kind of knew that it was a thing. And so here we are all these years later. I moved up in 2007 to Nashville.
Okay.
And yeah, loving every minute.
Man, so I mean, basically you started a band with family members.
Yeah.
You know, which, man, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You know, so and I know we were talking about this a little bit earlier too, but like, you know, we're talking about like country bass players or country bands or country rock bands, or, I mean, it's all you started a band in your garage essentially.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like every young kid does, whether you're in a punk band or a country band or in a rock band. And, you know, it's there's no different. I don't want to say there's no differentiating, but there's really no, like every band kind of starts out the same way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a bunch of buddies or family members or relatives just kind of getting together, and whether you play music or not, I would imagine everybody just kind of hangs out with one another and figures out, hey man, I got a guitar, you got a bass, let's do a band instead of let's put a baseball game, let's put a baseball team together, or let's play football, or let's play music.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just it's a different channel, you know.
Yeah. Now, do you approach like, so I'm the three of you are primarily all writing songs together for the band. Do you approach it differently as a bass player? Like if one of the guys comes to you do you say, well, I could play this bass part, or do you kind of all have a circular approach to it where you're all focusing on different parts?
I think that like if you're really down in the writing room focusing on that, it's we kind of learned in the Nashville school, that it's the you're focusing on the lyric and melody, and when all of the kind of the intricacies of what the bass is doing and how it can make it feel, and take it to another place, that all kind of happens more so in the studio when we really start putting it under the microscope.
Okay.
Or when we're out on the road playing it live. We're kind of notorious for road testing a lot of songs. So if you come to a show, you might hear something that you never heard before, because we're like, well, let's just see how it goes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you play something a couple times, play it in a live setting, play it in a studio setting, you might catch a different, something floating by, you go, oh, that's cool. And so that kind of stuff probably gets figured out more so out playing live, and then really in the studio when you put it under the microscope.
Right. Now, do you play other? I know live you cover a lot of keyboard parts too, but do you guys all kind of cover each other's instruments in the studio as well?
Yeah, we've always had this rule where like whoever has the best idea wins. So like if I'm sitting there and like I'm like I just can't figure this part out, or what should it be? Because you're creating it out of thin air. Maybe Bill, the guitar player, will be like, no, it should go like this, and he'll hum something, and I'll go, okay, that's cool. That's better than my idea. Best idea wins. So, we have a rule, you don't have to be a bass player to come up with a bass line. So we kind of, and if I'm like, Bill, that part, you need to change it. So we're all pretty receptive to listening to each other.
Right.
That's cool. That's like, everyone's a true writer at that point.
Yeah.
And just, trying to make the whole better and the whole composition.
Yeah. I know, when I saw you guys at House of Blues during sound check, you guys, I forget what song it was, but, and it's not like you weren't working on writing anything, but you were working on an arrangement. I think it was a cover tune that you guys, and it was really interesting to see how you guys worked.
Mm-hmm.
Just like as a band, like working with front of house and how you were hearing things. There was just a lot of things going on, but it was really cool. Like, okay, we're 3 hours from downbeat, and you're working on arrangements, and not like, but not in a bad way. You know what I mean? It's like, how can we change this up, or how can we introduce this new thing? And I remember stories of like, guys that play with Billy Joel and guys that play with Springsteen would do the same thing. Like an hour before sound check or an hour before downbeat, they'd be like, they'd get the set list like, hey, we haven't played this tune in like 6 years, and we're gonna pull it, so
we're not quite that big of risk takers, but yeah. Well, it's interesting. It's like, you go out and we're very much always trying to just make sure that there's not a dull moment in the set. Nobody likes a lull in the set, so it's like, all right, we've played, and when you came and saw us in Boston, that was like 3/4 of the way through the tour. So It's like, we were just honing in. All right, well, every night we watch, the crowd's reaction when we do this, when we do that. So we're always like, we don't know if we're feeling this, so maybe we can cut this part short, double this part, whatever. I think we were working on maybe a Champagne Supernova arrangement, that Oasis song.
That's exactly what it was. Yep.
And man, we've been having a lot of fun with that one. So such a great song. So, but yeah, it's just like, and that's for any song, any part of the set. We're just always trying to tweak it to get it just right.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
When I have a dog emergency.
Bronco's acting up. He's gonna go.
Please.
So who, like, I know we kind of jumped ahead here, but who were some of your earlier influences, and were they bass players or songwriters, or like who really influenced you?
Man, I'm such a fan of the song, but I mean, I also love bass players. Dude, I love bands. I love rock and roll bands. I started out listening to punk rock. You know, Green Day is a great example. You know, Mike Dirnt, he's such a pronounced bass player,
Sure.
you know, in that band. Like it's a trio and the bass player is so crucial. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. And then, you know, farther down the line, you have, you know, Led Zeppelin, John Paul Jones, you know, this crazy multi-instrumentalist, absolute amazing bass player, Mike Inez from Alice in Chains, like just, you know, it kind of progresses through the years of what you're into. But it's man, I'm a fan of the song, and I really love bands. And I think that great bands, each member holds their own place, you know. No one is invisible. Everybody has a super crucial role. That's kind of the beautiful thing about it. You know, you see a lot of solo artists that, like, you know, the band's a little more in the background, and that's cool. That's their thing. But like, I don't know, man, something about a band, like only a band can do that, you know?
Yeah. I actually was talking with a few music friends the other day. I think we were talking about the Grammys too, and just saying how like a bunch of those performances where like the band's just completely in the background, in the dark. And I feel like I hope it's coming back around, but I feel like the demand is coming back around for more of a organic, actual full band experience that really was prevalent in, you know, 60s through the 80s, is like just having that chemistry, that raw kind of feel. And that's
man.
You can't recreate that. I feel like when the focus is just on one person, it's like in this day and age of just stuff everywhere, and like you can't even watch a football game without it, in between every single play there's like something up on the screen and it's something going on. Like in this day and age, I feel like the more interactions that are like happening on stage, the better. Like I think that's going to be the new old way of doing it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it kind of goes back to, like I was saying, you know, three kids or four kids hanging out as youngsters.
Yeah,
I did say youngsters as youngins. Well, but as kids, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, we're going to form a band. We're going to form a baseball team. We're going to form a football team. We're going to form it's
gang.
just, but that's
it's all relative, you know.
But that's what a band is. It's a gang of like 3 or 4 buddies just hanging out, saying, let's play something together. And then that becomes a band versus, you know, in today's day and age, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I think young artists today are kind of hung up on the fact that, you know, well, I'm a singer songwriter, or, you know, I'm one person, and I'm going to go on American Idol, or I'm going to go on America's Got Talent, and that's how I'm going to go to Nashville and get in writing circles. And then when I hit it big, I'm going to hire musicians to support me live. You know what I mean? But a band is, like you say, you know, when you guys are hanging out together, you're writing songs, you're working together. And I would imagine there's times you guys hang out together without any intentions of doing any kind of work, or, you know, because you're family. You just kind of like, hey, it's the holidays, let's get the families together. And you know what I mean? So there is that cohesiveness of a band working and writing together versus an artist. And anyways, I'll shut up now.
Well, and Dino was saying you guys were working out stuff that late too in the sound check. I'm assuming at least on new stuff, you guys aren't running backing tracks, or do you have any backing tracks? Are you anti-backing tracks? Like,
we're not anti-backing tracks because, I mean, bring the best show possible. And we have dabbled with that in the past. We always have a tendency to be like, all right, you know, this is, you know, because I think when you use it as a tool to kind of like up your game, as opposed to like the backing track is everything, you know, it can be used just like anything else as a tool to kind of amplify. But man, we always have this tendency to, we're like, well, yeah, let's try it. That could really, you know, do this. It could really add this element. And then like, dude, maybe like 6-7 shows in, we're like, throw the computer in the back of we're not touching that thing. We're done with it. Like, and then it ends up, you know, and then I end up with like a keyboard over on the side of the stage. And I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but you know what? Let's just do it. This is, you know.
Is that how you got roped into playing keys on this last tour?
That's exactly how I got roped into playing keys. We were like, do we want to? No, I don't think so. Like, no, let's just like, you know, we run in-ears. So like, we'll run a click track on something if it's, you know, in the beginning, if it's something just kind of bare out there by itself. But like, Man, we keep it pretty like what's on the stage is what you're hearing.
Yeah.
And that's for better or worse sometimes. I had a couple of keys flubs here and there. I don't claim to be the world's greatest keyboard player, but
that's live music. That's what live music is supposed to be.
That's also part of the specialness of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a hard time with that too. I'm such a perfectionist.
I know it's hard not to be because you want to do your best, but
of course,
man, I've seen some shows where the lead singer went to go start a song and was just like got like a line in and was like, whoa, hey, everybody hold their horses for a second.
Yeah.
Hey, let's start this over. And they're like, oh, this song's so new, I can't even remember the damn words. All right, boys, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm like, dude, that's so awesome. No one else will have that experience. And like, I still remember that from,
it's probably like the highlight of the show. It feels
right.
organic.
I'm like, it was a unique, moment that like can't be recreated.
Yeah.
So it was so cool.
Yeah.
So I love stuff like that personally.
But that's, and like I said, that's, that's the spontaneity of what a live show is supposed to be. A live show to me is not supposed to be perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
I get bummed out when it's like they're only playing the album versions of the show too. Just like,
right. Yeah. You gotta augment a little bit and do some different stuff.
And it's funny because here in my area, I work with we call them GB bands, general business, which are like wedding bands and corporate bands, and the band leaders, they want parts players. Like they want everything to sound like an album.
Yeah.
And if you veer off, they look at like, what the hell are you playing?
Yeah.
Well, playing it's the live version. They're like, no. We don't want the live version. We want the dead version.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's the whole thing. It's like that's the spontaneity. I mean, when you get down to the grassroots of it, that's why you go see a live band. You want to see the spontaneity of a live performance, and you want to see musicians take chances.
Mm-hmm.
And when and when something comes out good, it comes out great. And sometimes if you make a mistake, that's still good. It's like he's human. I mean, I appreciate artists that go out and do perfect performances. And they do them well. That everything's choreographed and it is a show.
Yeah.
But you're going to see that artist for a certain reason. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
No offense. When I come to see a 1,000 Horses show, I don't expect the 3 or 4 of you guys like doing choreographed moves on stage. You know what I mean?
Good, because I don't know. That might be one thing you never see.
No, I want to see live music. I want to see you guys perform your songs live, and that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Any of you guys see the Grammys? I know I'm kind of. This is going to start. I'm going to start seeing comments here. Like
we want to see comments. Let's go.
Yeah, I just kind of caught the highlight reels. I didn't catch the whole bit of it.
Caught most of it, but not all of it.
This
is the first time I'd watched actually in years, which kind of to me is I mean, I'm not everyone, but it's a commentary on how it's been. I'm just like, I don't know.
But I will say, like, again, getting back to the band thing, the end of the show, and I stayed up to the very last minute because I wanted to see Billy Joel. Mm-hmm. But he had his full band. The band that he plays with that sells out Madison Square Garden, he had his full band there with him performing on stage, which I thought was really commendable because he could have just gone up there and played piano to a backup band or even a backing track, but he had his full band there. And
or like it's the Grammys, so let's get like an all-star band of all these different people.
Right.
He's so legit. That's awesome.
Yeah. And Andy, his bass player, who's part of the Ampeg family, like he's been on SVT time, and he's even said like you have to know the entire Billy Joel catalog because you never know what song he's going to call. Like he has a set list of what might be played, but then he'll poll the audience. Do you want to hear Piano Man or Scenes from an Italian Restaurant? And it's like, okay, or Rosalinda's Eyes, and you got to know the songs. So, and there's a lot of spontaneity there, and like Andy said too, there's a lot of screw ups. Not a lot of screw ups, like they come
imperfections.
Exactly. Yeah. So
I saw CT Janes had a comment of my first amp was a 96, one of those 96 Rocket combos.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
Been in love with the Ampeg sound ever since. Thank you.
Awesome.
CT.
Thank you,
Also,
CT.
it brought up. I was watching the rig rundown, and it's like tell me if I'm wrong. It seems like when you're backlined, you typically have like a SVT with an 810 situation, but you've been using the Rocket Base 210, I think, for this the most recent stuff. How has that transition been? I know a lot of players that are using. I think Peter Hook, right? He's also using an RB210 or a 15 or something like that for his on-stage rig. I think a lot of people think when they're thinking these combos like that they aren't made for that kind of thing, but they're kind of perfect, especially if you have like a smaller, maybe a tour van or just a situation where you're like, I don't want to freaking haul this thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty great, right?
Yeah, man. That thing is like, it's like a little secret weapon. Like, when I was younger, I'm like, bigger is bigger. Like, you got to have the 810, you got to have the thing. And, I had an SVT Classic for forever, still have it. And have the 810 cabinet, and you haul that thing up a couple of sets of stairs, and then it starts to get old, and you're like, it's amazing. And then, I had a 410 cabinet for a while. I've had every different variation that you could possibly think of. An SVT4 Pro, which I actually still really love.
That's probably my favorite amp still.
Oh, it's so good. And then, for the ease of, for this last tour when we were opening, getting on and off the stage quickly, just literally just one hand. You can have your bass in one hand and your amp in the other. But the Rocket Bass 210, Dino, thank you so much. He introduced me to that, sent one to my house, and that thing is incredible. I wasn't sure because we tend, like most bands, tend to be loud because there's a lot going on.
Yeah,
dude, that thing holds its own like no other combo amp I've ever had. Nothing like it. So
it's cool too.
It's super cool.
When I saw that, and I'm so happy you pointed out at the end of the rig rundown, you're like, and look at the back of the amp. We're actually using the DI out.
Yeah. Well,
like, that's awesome because it sounds so silly that's so rare, but it really is. Like
it is. It is because you hook up with a good front of house engineer, they're gonna like, this is the DI I want you to use. I've been using this DI for 100 years at work, and rightfully so. But when you said no, I'm just coming line out of the back of the amp, I was like, I know the DI sounds good, but that really is surprising when a front of house guy says, just take it out of the back of the amp. It sounds great.
Man, because it does. I mean, signal straight out the back. Come on. That's
and it did front of house. I mean, House of Blues in Boston, and I haven't been in very many House of Blues, but I think they're kind of set up the same. It's kind of a tough room to get a sound in because it's tall, cavernous with multiple levels, and it's shallow. But we were up on like the second or third level, stage right, and the bass sounded killer, man. Like a P bass into an Ampeg.
It's a winner. It's a timeless sound. It really is.
Like you had a few pedals that you're using to kind of get the bite of the pick to really cut through, and that sounded great. Sounded really good.
Yeah. Pedals are fun. They're just like kind of an extra way to like throw a different texture or whatever. We're always like, especially in a live show, like introducing new things to keep people, kind of engaged and interested and all that stuff. So, and just recreating some of the stuff that we've done on the album. So,
I wish I was more savvy, because I would. If I could figure out a way to, but I'm not gonna waste everybody's time here. I will do this though. I'm gonna post a link to the rig rundown in the comments here. Let me just see if I can. Let's see if I can do this. Let's see. Okay. So I'll put it there. And that way there you can at least click on that link and it takes you to the rig rundown. And I think it's only like 5 or 6 minutes. But it was just, first of all, thank you for having me in on Soundcheck to do that. That was
I was stoked you were there.
We actually want to start doing more of that, like either myself or Dom, just going in with an iPhone, really. Actually, your guys' your guy is the one that actually videotaped that through a really nice camera. But
yeah, it looked great.
Yeah, just doing more of that where, we can give people insight as to what people are playing on stage. It's not always about a backline of SVTs and
Mhm.
810 cabs. And I remember you had called me too. You had an interesting if we can get into it a little bit, just kind of the reality of what is today for a touring band, especially, a band, bands cover their own expenses. And
Yeah.
it's not cheap to tour. And I remember you telling me like the expenses behind a tour bus versus a Sprinter versus,
Mhm.
so that kind of led to, economy of space. You don't
That's
have
it.
room for an 810 cab and an SVT. So
Right. Yeah, man. We well, especially as an independent band too, it's like, I mean, you're just your own island state, which
yeah,
is fantastic in a lot of ways, but it's like, all right, well, let's, especially post COVID, coming out of it, we're like, all right, well, let's figure out like what is the smartest way to do this.
yeah,
And we did that tour in a Sprinter van, and we were like, all right, if we're doing this in a Sprinter van, then let's spare ourselves carrying a trailer. So we had
Yeah.
like the big
yeah,
cargo bay in the back.
yep,
And that's kind of where this whole thing with the 210 rocket base started. It was like, all right, let's really like analyze this, figure out what we need, what we can do. And then when you told me, you were like, well, if you need more, we can talk about maybe like an extra cab or something.
yeah.
And never once did I think, oh man, I need more. Like it just, that
That's
little
That's
thing
awesome.
just gave, man. It's got it.
That's
So
so
Yeah.
cool.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And
It's funny
again,
because I was gonna say me and our lead tester for Ampeg stuff, every time we test everything, we test it, we're finding more and more, the more artists we get in to do evaluations, that we tested at like 5 times the volume that anybody's typically playing, and we're
yep,
always like so concerned with like, oh my gosh, like, do we need more? Do we need more? And like the reality is, once you get on stage, you really only, unless you want kicked out of the band, like a
right.
certain level, So
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
I
mean,
really just give that and then some. Like I was using the RB 115 in some auditions for a drummer the last few days, and there wasn't one drummer that came in, no matter how hard they hit, that like in this room, I wasn't even past half volume, like, and I'm like typically like really worried about that kind of thing. So it was good.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
And again, leading, giving credit to Dom and Brad and everybody at YGG too. Like these guys are all touring bass players. Like, Brad just went out for a couple of months prior to Thanksgiving with some of the venture stuff. I know Dom's going out in the next couple of months. It's like this stuff gets tested and gets
Yeah.
designed and tested and play
Yeah.
tested by working cats that, they know how this is, they know what it's supposed to do and how
I
it's supposed
mean,
to
how
sound.
can you beat that? There's not a better way. Like
Exactly.
that's fantastic. That's awesome, Dom.
Yeah.
Now our
Yeah.
engineers are like getting like they know this stuff is getting road tested here and there, and then they get the competitive nature of like, well, let's do another power test and see if we can throw this at it, throw that. It's been really fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So needless to say, anybody that's looking for a bunch of 810 cabs, I've got about
Yeah.
6 810 cabs I'm getting ready to
Yeah.
offload here.
I've
Old
got a
810
few of
cabs.
them myself.
Now, now, Graham, are you primarily, obviously, when I saw you on tour, P-bass guy, primarily P-bass?
Yeah, that's kind of always been my main instrument of choice. I have a Thunderbird that's a really cool, unique. I mean, they kind of have their own thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
But man, a P bass, I kind of always end up coming back to a P
Yeah.
bass.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a 4-string, obviously. Do you dive into 5 at all, or is it mostly 4?
Not really. I love the sound of a 5, but I feel like for everything that personally that I've done in music hasn't really called for it. So I've just never really dabbled, and I just kind of love like all my favorite bass players are just 4-string bass players, and
Yeah.
I'm like, well, like if I kind of model myself after that, or my playing kind of lends itself to that style, it's the 4-string has always just been kind of right for me, but I do love the sound of that low B. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's like a killer thing. So
Yeah.
maybe one day. I'm very open to it. It's just,
I would say, if you had a gig where you had to do a 5-string, would you choose a 5-string, or would you have your 4-string strung at the lower 4 of the 5? That we should add that to our rapid fire question.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that's way too long of a question, though.
I know it's a very long question. I'm asking for a friend, aka I'm in this situation right now, and I'm trying to figure out what to do.
Oh man, I don't know. What are the tuners where it's like you can just hit it and it drops your string?
The hip shots, yeah.
I think maybe give that a go, because I'm also like, when you start using your brain to go, okay, the E is not the lowest anymore. I got this B string in front of me. Like, of course you can think about it and know where you're going, but like for someone like me who's not just on a daily basis familiar with having that string there, maybe like, I don't know, maybe a hip shot might be a good middle ground.
Yeah, just take a 5-string, Dom.
Yeah, I know, I will.
Let's get the 5-string. Yeah.
My new 5-string.
I mean, I guess if you're not, because I'm primarily a 5-string player, only because, like I said, a lot of the gigs that I do, either it's what we call bro country stuff or the GB stuff, where you just got to have that low B.
It's part of the sound.
It's part of the sound. But yeah, it's if I know I'm playing music that was never intended to have a 5-string bass on it, like if I'm in a Beach Boys tribute band or Led Zeppelin thing or something that I know that bass player did not play a 5-string on that gig, then I'm gonna bring a 4-string. But if I know I'm competing with a keyboard player, we're doing some sort of R&B where it's not even a recorded bass guitar on the recording, it's a keyboard bass, then you got to bring a 5-string
for sure.
That's just my thing. But and I love playing P basses. That's where is it? Right there. That's there it is. But yeah, it's just bring a 5-string on the gig. I know it's going to kill you to do that, because you're not going to be able to bring your blue P bass on the show.
I'm doing it. Bringing it. I think I decided the other day. You say you always go back to P basses. I literally went around my studio the other day and I was like, am I going to bring this one? Am I going to bring this? It was just like such a hard thing. And then I just came back to this guy. Yeah.
It's like, yes, Tom, do you play anything other? Do you have anything other than the P bass? Well, I got a jazz.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Great.
So let's talk about March. You guys are heading out on the road here, right?
Yes. Yeah, we're going out on our headlining tour. It's called the Highway Sound Tour. And it's just 1,000 horses hitting the road, man.
Cool. I'm just seeing if I can post this. Hang on.
You guys coming to LA?
No, not on this leg, man. We're working on, so this is kind of like kind of East Coast, Midwest kind of stuff, but we're working on getting a second leg together in the fall. So cool. Highway Sound Tour Part 2, and we want it to be primarily West Coast, because keeping in touch with everyone on social media and whatnot, everyone's like, dude, why aren't you coming out? And we're like, all right, this is something that we have to do. So we're working on it, Dom.
Cool. I'll be there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I expect to see you there. You let me know what you need.
Yeah, man. I toured with this one group, Neon Union, a couple years ago.
Oh yeah, man.
And I was really shocked at how many country fans there are on the West Coast, especially in California, especially in San Diego. Holy crap. San Diego and Orange County. It's a really strong market there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm trying to figure out a way to post. I'm trying to figure out a way to post the JPEG that has all the dates on it. The 1,000 horses, the Highway Sound Tour Spring 24, the one that I put in the email. And
it's the tour flyer.
Yeah. I'm
if you pull it up, you could share your screen with it. But in the meantime, John Willis is on. Hi, John. And he asked if you've had any time with the SGT DI at all.
The pedal?
Yeah.
Yes.
Man, you sent me the Dino. I think a while back, you sent me the Scrambler DI.
Yes,
and I have used that.
Yeah.
But the SGT DI, I don't believe so.
Cool.
Yeah, I think you're right that I have not sent you an SGT DI, which means I'm slacking in my duties as an artist relations.
Come on,
no, that thing is super cool.
IR loading, it's great. It'll pop out.
I don't have any experience with that, but that is very cool.
Yet.
But I will say that the Scrambler DI, the big one, is killer, and I've used it a ton. I have 2 pedal boards now, one for fly dates and then one for when we're bringing all our stuff. So
nice.
I have it on one of the pedal boards.
I am awful. I can't figure this out. It's like
don't sweat it, man. I don't know how either. So
no, but like I purposely put these in the email because I was like, all right, I'm gonna figure out a way to do it, and I never did. So I apologize. But yeah, hang on. I will put the link of the website so you guys can go check out.
Yes, tour dates are on the website.
Yep.
Dino, I'm gonna do this and blow your mind. Hold on.
You're gonna do it on purpose. You're just gonna make me look bad.
Pretty much.
This is what happens when we don't have a producer to do this. I apologize, everyone, for my. I'm still trying to figure out my iPhone. Give me a break, man.
Awesome.
So you got a new album coming out too, right?
We do. It's going to come out in the fall, probably like September-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, man. We recorded 12 songs with this producer, John Randall, and we are super stoked about it. It's kind of like the next chapter. It'll be the second album that we're releasing on our own independent record label, Highway Sound Records. So we are like so stoked about it.
Cool.
And we're kind of doing it. We're releasing it a little bit differently, where we're doing like just one song at a time until we have about 3 or 4 songs left, and then we're just going to put the whole thing out as an album. So
okay,
nice.
Will you'll be playing songs off that album on this tour as well?
Yeah, we will for sure.
Cool. How is it? And I've never been in that position, but you guys kind of like you said, you put it out on your own label. You're your own self entity. Like you control what the band does, releases. Like you're not under the guise of a record company or a record label per se that controls what you guys can do and say, and you know where I'm going with this. Like, how do you guys benefit from that versus a band that gets signed to a record label, if there is any such thing these days? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy how different it seems to be post-COVID. But I mean, man, what you're talking about, being under a record label and having someone else kind of have the keys to the Ferrari, it can be an interesting situation to put an artist in, and we've been there many times.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, it's a great thing. It's I feel like it can work great for you. It's been a beautiful thing for us, but then also, when unforeseen things happen, there can be a lot of red tape involved. And when we kind of finally got the keys back, so to speak, we were like, you know what? Why don't we just do things our way for a while? Because it's kind of like, it's more about, you can really get caught up in the whole industry side of it and all that stuff. And we kind of took a step back during COVID, and we were like, why don't we just worry about servicing the fans, the people that actually care about the music, So that's when we kind of had the idea, and we were kind of into this new place where we had started recording this new record, and we were like, and we had another record that we had been sitting on because of said red tape, and we were just like, you know what, let's let's just do things our way for a while and just see how it goes. So, I mean, really, it's been so great because you have all of the creative freedom. It comes with a lot of responsibility. You know, you got to figure things out on your own and stuff. But I'm like, it's been such a great learning experience. It's I don't know, it's kind of given us the vehicle and the proper tools to do what we want, to kind of be the best kind of purest version of us, if that makes any sense. You know?
Yeah. No.
So it's not like, anti, the man or anything. It's just like, we're out here doing our own thing right now as independent artists and loving it.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, it's basically, you're running your own business is kind of what it comes down. And obviously you got to put a lot of trust into the people that are helping you run that business too. So, so that you guys can be the creative side of the business as well. But yeah, you hear horror stories of bands and artists signing to labels, and they're on the road for the next 10 years just trying to pay back what they were given, and it's just a horrible story. I shouldn't say a horrible story, but it's unfortunate, but
it's sad that that's not even the worst case scenario either. Like you have artists that get shelved and they're just sitting there. They can't release music otherwise. And I've seen that too. Yeah,
man. I mean, it's sad when the business gets in the way of the music,
Yeah. I was having a conversation with some friends of mine that know nothing about the business, and we were talking about, years ago, artists used to be in development deals, where they'd sign with a label, and that label would put them in a development deal. It was just a different time back then. So, but anyways, it's and I'm sure anybody that's watching this knows, it's you kind of have to do things on your own, take things into your own hands, and
it's the irony of like when the demand is high enough where you need a label or some bigger party to manage stuff, you're at the point where you need somebody, you know,
figure
out how to do it.
Getting back to, I know we're getting close to time here, but getting back to bass playing, Graham, do you have any aspirations of like playing bass for other people, for other bands, or kind of freelancing with other people?
Man, I do. 1,000 Horses is kind of like my true love. It's our baby. It's our passion project. But I recently just worked on another project, actually with our guitar player as well. We went and recorded an album for another artist, and that was such a really cool experience. And truthfully, that was kind of my first venture into I've gone out and played live gigs and whatnot here and there, but like being in the studio recording and helping someone else kind of bring their vision alive and take it across the finish line was like really cool, an experience that I had not had yet. So it was really awesome, and I learned a ton. And anytime you can learn something new, that's a great thing. So
but no chances of seeing you down at Broadway on a Saturday night.
Never say never, man. That sounds like fun sometimes. I'm like, I'm down with it.
It is fun. It is fun. Do you have any exercises or anything that you work on, like chop exercises or playing exercises before a show, maybe?
I always there's a couple of Alice in Chains songs that I just love to play as like my warm up,
Okay. All right.
So that's honestly, that's kind of my warm up.
Cool. And of course you guys are always doing vocal warm ups, I would imagine too, before a show. So we always gotta remember to, some nights you do, some nights you don't, but we always try to remember to do some vocal warm ups. Which the two of you is, Dom as well. I don't do a lot of singing in any of the projects, but singing and playing bass and singing lead or singing, harmonies or just singing parts is a whole nother art form in and of itself. And do you work on the bass line and then work on the vocal, or do you memorize the vocal and then work on the bass line to work them into one another?
Personally for me, I don't know what you do, Dom, but I got to learn the bass part, and then I got to like practice singing it just
Yeah.
in a room by myself for a while because no one wants to
Same.
hear that until I can get it right.
I almost have to like mumble the lyrics rhythmically over the bass line first, and then start integrating the pitch of it over time, because some of the stuff, it's like, and I found that some songs I have to physically move with it. I can't. If I sat down to do it, I couldn't do it. But if I'm like standing and moving, it's like it's like almost like a dance learning.
Yeah, I have like a certain foot tap that I do in one song to keep my right hand doing one thing and my brain singing something else. That's exactly right. That's so funny.
I feel like it's like, it really is like an itch you're scratching when you're able to do it. It feels like athletic in a way. It feels like,
dude, it's like rubbing your stomach and patting your head at the same time.
But I mean, like, I don't know if you guys have this. It's not really a problem, but like even when I'm playing, if during sound check, if I'm playing a song or I'm trying to play and somebody's talking to me and I'm trying to talk back to them, I get all screwed up.
Yeah,
it's just like don't talk to me. I
can sing and play before I can actually carry on the conversation.
All right, so that's
I'm really bad at that too. Yeah.
Okay. All right. When you said,
that's all normal stuff. I feel like.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, wait a second. I can actually do that, but I can't talk while I'm playing to somebody. Or like, in the middle of a song, the guitar player will come over and say, he'll yell something in my ear, and I'll just be like, I'll talk to you after the show. Sort of thing.
Yeah.
All right. So that's
I had a hard time. I was like MD for a couple bands, and then a few churches, and the church thing is like really tough while playing bass and trying to do that, because you're talking to everybody while you're playing, but you have to be in on the one. And then most of those songs, the bass is the only thing differentiating like the chorus from the bridge from the whatever. Man, it was like, I found after a while, I was like, because I can do it doesn't mean I should. Like I don't enjoy it. Like it's just way too nerve-wracking. You're just talking the whole time. Like you're not actually performing.
Man, yeah. All right, so
it's time.
It's time. It as the Lion King once said, it is time.
It is time.
No, I think I had mentioned this to you earlier, where we do like a round of rapid fire, 10 questions. And they're all bass and travel related.
You may have seen this, Graham, from other podcasts that try to have us ask these things.
Yes,
I won't mention any names, but it's happening.
No. As my dear mother used to say, what is it?
Imitation is the highest form of flattery.
It's the highest form of flattery. So yes, we are being imitated to some of the questions too. And
wow.
But we were the originators of this.
I love it.
It's just we're not as cool. So I'm going to ask.
Cool my book, y'all.
Thank you. I'm going to ask 10 quick questions. Actually, I'm going to ask 11. I'm probably going to ask 12, Dom. I'm going to add a new question here.
All right.
I like it. Graham, you already know.
I hope it's not a setup.
No, totally isn't. I actually asked you this. I asked you this earlier, but okay. So I'm going to ask you 10 quick questions. They're all bass and travel related. You've got a couple of seconds. Just give me the answer at the top of your head. Okay. So number 1, P bass or jazz bass?
P.
Okay. Number 2, passive or active electronics?
Oh man, passive.
Okay. Number 3, rounds or flats?
Rounds.
Okay. Number 4, B15 or SVT?
Studio or live?
Oh, no, you can't answer a question with a question.
For all around purposes, let's just say SVT.
Okay. Right. Cable or wireless?
Probably cable.
Okay. Pick or fingers?
That's studio live. I love them both. Let's say fingers, because that's traditional.
Okay. In-ears or floor wedges?
Floor wedges, but I never get to use them.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
I love them,
kind of, yep. Pedals or no pedals? And pedals. I know the answer. Yep.
Love pedals.
Window or aisle?
Ooh, aisle. I don't love to fly.
Coming from a guy that just got stuck in the middle row coming back from LA the other night. High bunk or low bunk?
High bunk. I'm on the top.
Okay. talking about Ampeg Cosmetics, black with white piping or the anniversary silver and blue?
I love the silver and blue just because it's so like nostalgia, back to the older look and stuff. I don't know. It's all great.
Yeah, no. That's
yeah,
all right.
let's say the silver and blue. I do
Okay.
love that look.
Okay. Now the new question, number 12, and I think I'm going to add this. Best chicken sandwich in the United States.
That's tough. That is tough.
There's no way you were going to get out of this without
I
talking
like that.
food.
That's a good one.
Gosh,
That's a good one.
chicken sandwich. Man, I don't know. There's no right or wrong answer here. I mean,
I guess
oh my gosh.
I guess I should qualify this. I hope you're not vegetarian.
No. I'll twist this answer a little bit. There's this place in Detroit called Bucharest, and they do these like pita wrap type things that are chicken, and it's kind of like a chicken sandwich wrap-esque type thing, and it's incredible. So in Detroit, this place called Bucharest, they got the chicken sandwich wrap situation going on. So it's very memorable.
Awesome. Yeah, I just realized like some of our artists are vegetarians, so I can't ask like they're gonna be like, I have no idea what it. Oh man. Awesome. Well, we've officially got those on record, and you passed. There was no pass or fail anyways.
Like passive active SVT or V15 or the pick fingers thing. People squirm so much because
like how can you choose?
Yeah.
And John Willis is asking nickel or steel.
That's a good one.
There's a lot of great questions. Solid state or tube.
Oh gosh, that's a hard one too. Probably nickel.
Okay.
And then solid state or tube. I don't know. They do different things. They're both so great.
That's kind of an unfair question because
I mean, right now,
which strings you like? What are your favorite strings right now?
I have Diodario. Gosh, I can't. They're nickel wound, round wound. I can't remember. They have so many series, but yeah, they're a Diodario nickel round wound that I have right now.
Probably the XLs.
Yeah.
Actually, yes.
Yeah, those are my faves right now too.
Yeah. And I'm on this big kick right now where like I'm convinced I'm never going to change my bass strings ever again. Really? Like I'm in that mode. Like I would be devastated right now if I broke them. So don't play in fear, but like just hope they don't break.
Is it tone or feel or both of why you want to?
It's more tone. I mean, feel. I feel like you can always like put some string something on there, make it kind of feel however you want. But like, tonally, it's like you just do something to the string over time of playing it, and I don't know. It loses because especially with a round wound, it tends to be really bright on the top, and you start losing that, and you find this really happy place when the string is like been played a lot. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, I never want to change these.
I'm in a weird mode where it's like if it's flat, I want it like dead as possible and worked in, but if it's round wound, I want it like bright and new as possible. But then I always get pissed when I put on new strings and I'm just like, oh, it's brighter than I remember. And then
I don't remember it sounding like this.
Yeah, then a week after that I'm like, I hate it again. Like
I was gonna say, you guys change your strings. I'm too cheap.
Yeah.
That's you heard the old trick about boiling them?
No, I never boiled them.
I never did.
It works.
I've heard it works.
I will say this. So I had it's upstairs right now, but my Yamaha, my BBP that I had set up at NAMM for anybody to play. Yeah. And that poor bass took an absolute beating. Like to the point there was actually one guy that was just like, I kind of politely said, that's not how you do that sort of thing. It was just like banging on the bass. Well,
oh man.
I for one thing, if you have like those Clorox wipes, those will clean the strings and bring them back to life a little bit. But the strings were so dead. When I got the bass home, I cleaned it up. I started playing. And I'm like, this actually really sounds nice with like just completely beat the crap round one string. And I changed them.
Yeah.
I changed them because I know I was going to be using it this weekend on a gig, and I'm like, I can't. And I changed them to I put a set of Diodario Flex Steels on an old. And as soon as I changed it, I was like, I should have just left the dead strings on. I got plenty other basses with
and they'll get back there.
Well,
I think you saved yourself about a COVID though by
well,
changing this. I think that was a good move.
That was just it. There was so much gunk on that bass when I took it out of the gig bag. I was like, we're
just gonna start fresh.
Yeah,
I started fresh pre-NAMM with my 5-string BB P2, and like it's already gunky dead. I was just like, dang, man.
Yeah.
Put 100 people on a bass, that's what happens. Like,
yeah. I mean, there was no less than probably 100 people that picked up that bass over the 4 days it was at NAMM. So I kind of had to delouse it.
Yeah.
You mentioned the person just clacking on it. That is what's interesting about bass, though, is like you can't get away with that as a guitarist. Like bass can be played so many different ways, but it feels like guitar. Like if you went and did that, people would be like, "What are you doing?" Like,
yeah. No, I won't. I shouldn't say it. I was going to say there's no wrong way to play a bass, but there kind of is. But
except for that one instance that you cited a moment ago,
it's definitely more forgiving than a guitar is.
Yeah.
But this kid was just banging like Bam Bam from the Flintstones, Anyways, guys, we're at that time. As always, as every SVT time, I know we could talk for hours.
Like, I quite literally felt like this was a 10-minute conversation.
Yeah,
right.
It went by quick.
Yeah, but it's like, again, this is my highlight. I know it's Dom's highlight of the day that we get to sit down and talk with other bass players and talk about gear and chicken sandwiches and strings and writing processes and what it's like to be in a band. And after this we go back to spreadsheets and PowerPoints and designing amplifiers
immediately after.
We really don't live that exciting of a life, guys. Trust us. We don't. It's not like we travel around in limousines and drink champagne all day. Although it would be
only
nice.
Dino's in town for NAMM.
Yeah, right. But Graham, man, thank you so much for joining us. This is I hope you'll come back and join us.
Thank you guys so much.
Next album, next tour, we'll get you back on. We can preach that out too. And
I'd love to, y'all.
Absolutely, man. It's always a pleasure talking to you. I'll see you probably in April, I think is the date that you're going to be in Hampton, New Hampshire. So
yeah, perfect. I look forward to it.
Yeah. Same here.
I was gonna say, everybody go check out 1,000 Horses and their new tour coming.
Absolutely.
Road in March.
Yeah.
And shout out to Haji, who is unfortunately celebrating his birthday today, sick, I think. So.
Oh, it's Haji's birthday today.
Yeah. So hope you feel better, Haji. Actually, I think it's today.
And yours was last Monday, by the way. Last Monday. 2 Mondays ago.
Graham's?
Your birthday. Dom.
You're saying you were. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, your birthday, and mine's on Thursday.
Well, happy late birthday.
Thanks.
So, anyways, here's to Toby Keith once again, and man, we'll see you on the next one. And thanks everybody for watching. We don't have anybody scheduled in 2 weeks, but keep an eye out on the Ampeg Facebook page and socials and whatnot. I'll working on a couple other people, but everybody's going on tour. Everybody's out on the road gearing up for tours, which is a good thing. So, I'd rather have that excuse that everybody's out on the road and we can't secure an artist than what it was like during COVID. So anyways, peace out everyone. And we will see everybody soon.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.